Everything around me.
Coach, what's going on? It's Coach Ian Tatum here, and I am here with Tripp Honeycutt, which is the head football coach at South Davidson High School here in North Carolina. Coach, I appreciate you joining us and talking a little bit about you and your program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah. So, just starting off, tell us a little bit about you, your background, and how you got started, in football and coaching.
Yeah. So, growing up, my dad coached little league, high school. So I was around football all the time. Kind of knew from a very young age that it was something that I had a passion for. Didn't know until I was honestly junior, senior in high school. I decided I wanted to be a teacher and wanted to be a football coach. So it was one of the passions that I've had. I played it in high school, played it in college, and I grew up in Davidson County in the Midway area. Went to North Davidson, played all 4 years there, then played 4 years at Greensboro College, and decided really, like I said, my later years of high school, early college, that I definitely wanted to be a teacher, and I definitely want to get into coaching.
All right, so just a little bit of your coaching experience. So, like getting into coaching straight out of college, or how did that happen for you?
Yeah, so I was extremely blessed and lucky to. I graduated in 2015 in December, and got a call about a PE job at Glenn High School in January. And I got really, like I said, I was really blessed. One of my football coaches in college, Kevin Wallace, who's actually the head football coach at West Forsyth, called me. He was my offense coordinator in college, and he called me, and they had a PE position open at Glenn in February. Just asked me if I'd be interested, and I grew up 15 minutes from Glenn High School, so I knew a lot about it. And was excited and jumped at the opportunity. Like I said, I know it's not common for a 22-year-old to be able to land that high school PE spot. So I felt very blessed. Was honored to be able to coach under Antoine Stevenson. Learned a lot from him. I was only there for about 14, 15 months, but felt like I learned a lot. It was a great place for me to start my coaching career for sure.
Yeah. So now you're at you've been at North Davidson, and now you're the head coach at South Davidson. Talk a little bit about South. For those that don't know, South has traditionally been not the greatest of program, but I a lot of respect for you because you've turned it around and you're one season there. You've been there one season, right?
Yes, sir.
Even if one season, so like, and you blew away some expectations of some people. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So getting the job, honestly, I had a lot of people that my family members, my friends, that kind of surprised that I took the leap of leaving North to go to South. And like you said, they've struggled for the past couple of years, and I kind of knew that going in. And my expectation was I just want to make them better than they were at that moment. I knew if we got better every day, one of the things we always said last summer was just get 1% better. If we got 1% and we were there for 100 days, by the time kickoff started in August, we'd be ready to go. And that was something that the kids really bought into. The first workout, I got hired last May, so about just over a year ago. The first summer workout we had, there were 6 kids show up. And I'm coming from a program we had at North Davidson, 75 to 80 kids. And now that there's 6 here, and I've got all these plans I want to do to go outside and do offense and defensive scheme and all this stuff. And there's 6 kids. So I spent the whole first day, the 6 kids showed up. I talked to my assistant coaches. There were 7 coaches there and 6 kids. So I was like, okay, we're gonna figure something. We're gonna get better somehow. So I brought all 6 of the kids in my coach's office, had all the coaches hanging out, and honestly, we just talked. I tried my best to get to know those 6 kids. There was two seniors and 4 sophomores that showed up. So it was kind of sporadic. I got to know them a little bit. Found out then I didn't know at that moment, but those 2 seniors were 2 of the better players that we had on our football team last year, and they kind of once getting to know them a little bit, kind of got the word of mouth out that that I actually cared about them and wanted them to be there, and that the summer workouts, even though they're optional, but
Yeah.
everyone else is doing them, we need to be there, and we need to take advantage of every day that we can. And by the end of the summer, had about 30 to 35 most days. So it was a turnaround that, and honestly, I give my dad's one of my assistant football coaches, and he was big on bringing freezy pops to every workout. And he's like, if you give them a freezy pop when they leave, they'll tell their friend they got a freezy pop. And I joke with him a lot about that's one of the reasons that we built up to 40 plus kids last year, is because they heard, well, like I said, these coaches, man, they really care about us. They're not just using us to win a football game. They're trying to get to know us a little better. So, yeah, it was. I'll be honest with you, Coach. It was one of when the job opened, and the first time in January, I had put some interest, looked into it. I knew one of the coaches on staff, David House, from time at Glenn. He coached there with me, and I got some interest, but they didn't have a principal at the time. They were in between a principal change, and I was just like, I didn't want to go somewhere where I didn't know who was going to be the principal. So they hired another guy. It didn't work out. They opened it back up about 2.5, 3 months later, and by then Chris Adams, who's our principal, was already hired, and I actually student taught for Chris Adams when he was Coach Adams at Ledford in 2015. So we had a connection built through that, and he, after all that stuff took place, he just reached out to me to see if I was interested, and of course I was. So it was one of them deals where I interviewed on, I think, like May 5th and was introduced May 9th. It was quick. It was a quick thing. It happened, and I knew it had to be quick because it was already May. Once you get to that point, you really, like this year, we were already doing spring ball by then, and they didn't have a head football coach at that time. So looking back, it was a crazy time, crazy fast experience. But it was definitely something that I think at that time I was 29 years old, and I was trying to figure out, do I want to be a head football coach? I have 2 kids, a 3 and a 1-year-old. So I was trying to navigate, what all do I want to do? And it was one of them things, I just felt like it was a great fit and a great time. And yeah, with you being at North Iran last year, y'all were in our conference, and I thought the one thing about our kids, and that every coach said to me at the conference meeting, was they played hard. And that was one of the things I wanted to make sure that no matter what, I mean, we won 4 games last year, and to some people in the community, that was more than enough. They were happy to see us win some games. But obviously, to me, I want to take the next step and compete in conference state championships. But I know that if we play hard, if we continue that, that'll take us. That'll get us to the spot. And after that, our scheme and all that stuff can hopefully take us over the edge. But yeah, definitely excited about where I am.
Yeah, that was one of the things. Like, because nothing against Coach, that was there before. Because I still talk with him, but when in 20, because I'll be in 2021 when we played South, like he told us, like, Coach, these kids didn't want to go on the bus. They didn't want to come over here. When we played y'all, when we came to y'all's place, it was a different, like, it was just a different vibe. Like, we felt like, hey, this is a game. Like, it was just, you could just tell, and the atmosphere was just different being there, and that's a testament to you. You already mentioned a little bit about how you care about the kids. You want to show them that. So talk a little bit about your philosophy as a coach. Talk about that, and talk about your program core values. Like, some people have an acronym, a slogan. What do you preach, and what do you stand on?
Yeah, one of the things they hear me say this a lot is be where you're supposed to be and be on time. If I can count on you, the best ability is accountability. If you're not there when I need you to, it's hard for me for us to take the next step. In college, my head football coach, Bill Young, just preached that all the time. Guys, can I count on you to be here when it gets tough? Who's going to be on the ship and who's going to be off the ship? And we preached that from day one. And honestly, from a core value standpoint, that was what I just wanted to preach. I was like, guys, we can do incredible things if I can get you all here at the same time with one common mindset, one common goal to get better every single day. It sounds kind of cliche-ish, but I think if you can get kids going in one direction, it don't matter if you have 20 or 100. If you got them all going in the same direction, really good things can happen. And I think we are in the direction that we need to be. The numbers this coming up here, we could have around 50 kids in our program, and our school, we only have 365 kids. So if we get 50 football players, that's a substantial number. I explained to some of my coaches, like back in the day when it was still split 1A, 2A, or 1A, 1AA. I was like, man, we'd be in 1A and we'd still be pretty small in 1A.
Yeah.
We're competing, of course, in the 1A, 2A split, which you know about. We're competing against schools with 1,000, 1,100 kids, and yeah, and I tried, my dangest to make sure that every week our mindset was we're going to go in there, we're going to win the football game.
Yeah.
It didn't work out every game, but I wanted to make sure that mindset was where it needed to be. So yeah, just making sure the kids are where they need to be, making sure in the classroom. We preach classroom a lot. I'm a teacher, so that's I always tell people I get money from my family through teaching. I don't get it through coaching. So I'm a teacher first, and making sure that our kids understand that they're students first, and they need to be in class on time. And I think from a coaching philosophy standpoint, if you ask my players, I'm a players coach that can also get into them when I need to. I want to be able to build those relationships up that they feel like they can talk to me about stuff besides football. I don't want it to be football 24/7, because as soon as that happens, they're done. As soon as November hits and the last football game of the year, I won't see them until February or March if I'm lucky. But I like them to stay around. I like to try to go to their basketball games and their baseball games and their track meets, whatever they may be doing. So trying to build those relationships as quickly as I can. And because I played in high school, I played for Mark Holcomb, who is now at Bishop McGinnis, was at Oak Grove, and was my head coach at North. And he is what I thrive to be. Every game before the game, we would have done anything for him, anything. And it was just because we built those relationships, him getting on to us and criticizing us during the game or during practice, it didn't feel like he was trying to belittle us or anything, because we knew we formed those relationships, that he was just trying to make us better in whatever capacity that needed to be. So I'd love to be able to eventually get to the point where I'm going to my players' weddings and meeting their kids, down the road, because me and him still go to church together. So I see him every Sunday. So it's nice to be able to have those relationships. And like I said, he's definitely a role model of mine.
Yeah. So it's the last day of May. This won't be going out anytime. It'll be a couple of days. But right now we're recording this the 31st of May. So as of today, where do you see the South Davidson football program coming out of spring, going into the summer? How do you see it?
We had we had 6 days of spring ball, and we had to start later because, like I said, we have a ton of kids doing other stuff in the spring. So I waited, and I kind of looked at this 2.5 week window and said, we're going to fit 6 days in there, 3 offensive, 3 defensive, and just see what we got. And we had anywhere from 25 to about 31, 32 kids out there. Not including what we're going to have coming from the middle school. I'm super excited. We have a really, really strong competitive senior group, about 13 to 14 of them. And like I said, you get 13 to 14 seniors on a 1A team, you've done pretty well to get them to that point. And they're a hungry group. We're doing some renovations in the weight room, and they're really excited about all the new stuff we're getting in there. That they want to kind of be the group that takes South Davidson, I think, to that next level. Yeah. They have a goal in mind, and they've told me that they want to beat so and so, and I'm just like, and I try to explain to them, guys, we can't go 10-0 tomorrow. We've got to work to August 18th. We start off with Jordan Matthews, and I try to tell them that that's our first. That's what we're building to right now. We can worry about the rest of the season. They have their rivalries and all that stuff, and their boys they hang out with on the weekends. They go to all the other Davidson County schools. But I'm like, we got to build on the early part of the season, the summer, to even get to that point, to make those games important, to make them games mean something. So I expect us to be incredibly competitive. Like I said, we've got our quarterback back. We've got our starting running back was a senior last year, but we've got 2 guys that didn't play any running back last year. They're going to be playing a lot for us. Our leading receivers back. We got a tight end that transferred into us last year from Ledford, like in the late October. So he only played 2 games for us. Mm-hmm. Didn't really play much, but he's a 6'4", 6'5", big, good-looking kid. So I expect us to be, like I said, incredibly competitive, and I want the games to matter in October, November. I want those to be not so much are we going to the playoffs, but are we going to get a home game in the playoffs? And that's one of the biggest goals we have, to be honest with you, coaches. We knew we were one game away last year from getting a home game, and we thought in our mind 2 or 3 games kind of slipped through our hands that we thought we could have won, and that's one of the big goals. And I haven't really told them because I don't really know. You can say 5 games, 6 games, whatever it is to get that home game, but I know that's one of the huge goals for us because they've never hosted a home playoff game. South Davidson hasn't. So that would be something that would be, huge for our kids, but also huge for our school and community. You know as well as I know, football it starts a school year because you play 2 games before you even get to school. So you can determine how the school year is going to be for a lot of kids that may not even play sports, because how those Friday nights are really. I mean, when I was a kid growing up, Friday nights is what we look forward to every week, and that's kind of I try to instill that in my kids. Like, man, y'all are heroes to a lot of these younger middle school, elementary school kids that are coming to your games. And what's the community dynamic going to be? If we start off the way I expect us to, it's going to bring a lot of excitement to Denton, and I'm incredibly excited to get the summer rolling. And I know you're not ever supposed to be like, I'm ready to get to August, but I'm already ready to get to August. I'm fired up to get to that point, and can't wait to see how much stronger we get and how much better we get with the offense and defensive schemes this summer, and just where we are come August 1st.
Yeah. So, Coach, last thing, and I like asking this question because a lot of guys, especially at your level, and I'm at the 2As, I'm not too much bigger. So at our level, not a lot of guys get highlighted, and there's a lot of great kids out here that put in the time, put in the work that should be recognized. And you're not going to get to everybody on your team, but who are those guys that you might be maybe surprised you this offseason coming through? Some guys you're going to be leaning on coming up this fall. Just kind of give them a shout out.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, our quarterback he's kind of a staple. He's the toughest kid on our football team. He's the one when it's 4th and 1, he wants the ball as the quarterback. And his name's Tanner DeLautry. He had a great season last year, threw for about 1,600 yards, and in an offense that we were trying to be 50-50. We ended up running the ball probably a little bit more than we did throwing it, but he was our 3rd leading rusher as well from the quarterback position, and also turns around and plays strong safety on defense. So he's definitely going to be a staple in what we do. Peyton Davis is a running back he's a running back linebacker. He played defensive end last year. Never played football until August 1st of last year. Wow. Just walked out there and was like, I want to play football. And he's 6'1", 185 pounds and can run. And I was like, yeah, you need to play football anyway.
Yeah.
So he's going to be huge for us. Eli Hewlin is a receiver for us, a receiver DB. He was our leading receiver last year and was our best corner, best DB, and we expect him to fulfill both those roles again. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is Andrew Allen. A lot of linemen don't get a lot of love, but he's a 6'3", 235, 240-pound kid that he enjoys defensive line better, and he's better at defensive line. But you're 6'3", 240, you're going to play the offensive line too.
Come on over here.
Yeah, and I think at the next level, some coaches reached out to me about him at the D2 level, and they see him as like a 5-tech or a 3-tech defensive lineman. But I was like, South Davidson, buddy, you're going to be our left tackle probably, so you might as well go ahead and get used to it. So, and like you said, man, there's so many kids I could shout out. Seth Cook's another one that has worked. He was a 160-pound defensive end last year. Once again, didn't play football until August 1st. We got both them kids out that were huge gets. He's 185 pounds now. Lifted his tail off in the weight room. He'll play a little bit of running back, a little bit of linebacker. Well, all linebacker, a little bit of running back. So we feel good where we are. We have a really good senior class, and we expect those seniors to lead us on and off the field, to show our young guys how to do stuff. I was really excited because in spring ball we did a county fair before every practice, a little 4-circuit drill, and they were full go, full blast. I told them, I was like, guys, this is about a 10-minute drill, as fast as we can go. I want us to get going, get our energy level up, and every day it seemed like it got better and better. And I just don't know if a year ago when I got here, my expectation could have been anywhere close to where it is right now. So I'm super, super happy from the 12 months ago to now. And like I said, last fall was a great first year for us as a coaching staff. And we expect to take that next step and compete in a lot more football games and try to get that home playoff football game.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell everybody, I after every game, I get on ScoreStream and I check the scores across the state. But I have some that are starred from guys that I know and just programs I want to see win. And you guys are definitely on there. I appreciate you coming on and talking to us a little bit about you and in your program. And hey, hopefully, I'm out of that conference now. So, I mean, y'all in North Rowan, that's all I care about in that conference. So y'all go and hope it comes down to you two guys and the best team wins. So, but I appreciate you coming on and talking to me.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Everything around me.